it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for watching me today, or at least watching my hands. Joining me, I think, is probably what I should have said. This is the card that we are going to make today. I see this as a kind of welcome to your new child type card. It uses the Bundle of Love paper from the annual catalogue. It's on page 102 of the annual catalogue. It comes as part of a suite. It is gorgeous. I'm only using the Specialty Designer Series paper today. It comes with the colours are Blushing Bride and Soft Sky, and it's on a very vanilla base. And you can probably, if I bring it up a bit, you can see if I bring it up and do that, you can see that there are these different patterns. And basically they're foil on one side and then the colour on the other. So the paper that I've used is, obviously this is the side I've used, and it's like this on the other side. So it's very vanilla where the foil was, and then where the very vanilla was, it's colour. So I've done one in Soft Sky, so I'm now going to do one in pink. I'm actually not using Blushing Bride, purely and simply because I want to use this shimmer satin ribbon, and it doesn't come in Blushing Bride, so I'm going to use Powder Pink. It doesn't matter because I'm using the very vanilla foil side, so it doesn't actually matter what colour I put with it. I'm just using it as a launching pad, if you like. So standard A6 card base, so A5 folded in half, and bone folder. So that's my standard card base. Then my first mat will be my standard 5 5/8 by 3 7/8 inch mat. All of the dimensions will be on the blog post below, so don't worry about that. And then this time I'm using the chevron pattern. This is actually cut slightly smaller than my usual second layer. So this is cut at 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. Can't remember what that is in metric. I want to say about 13 1/2 by 9-ish, but they will be, the measurements will be below. So very little stamping, very little of anything, frankly. I've got a piece of scrap powder pink, and I'm using the Little One stamp set, and I'm using the Get Your Swaddle On, because I think it's kind of cute. And we are going to be embossing, heat embossing. So Versamark, I've got my stamp already mounted up, so make sure I get lots of Versamark on. Oop, and remember the embossing buddy. So just, particularly as this is a scrap, the likelihood is it's going to be covered in my sticky paw prints. So, yep, that's nicely inked. Doesn't matter which way up we stamp it, because, let's make sure that's a bit nearer, because we are going to heat emboss and then die cut. So it doesn't matter. So let's bring in my gold embossing powder and cover that up because I don't want embossing powder on my ink pad particularly. Ooh, that was interesting. Sorry, I had to go to the dentist this morning to have a filling repaired, which is never fun. And it's the first time I've had work done by this dentist, so that was fairly scary. I don't mind having work done. I don't like the injection that goes with it. Happily, however, he's very good at giving injections, and it was fine. But my lips just come back to life. So that's interesting. Yeah, okay, right. So heat embossing. So always make sure that your your heat embossing tool is warm before you get going. So that's that warmed up. What I do need to bring in, if I can remember where yeah, there we are, put it, my trusty cheese board, so I don't burn myself. So all we do, sorry about the noise, is about 1 inch, 2 inches away from the card. Make sure you get that fully. I will work out the lighting in my new setup, but we're getting there. And there we are. That's, just make sure those lines are done. Perfect. And I can watch that all day. Never gets boring. It's lovely. So I shall pop that there just to cool. You do need to be careful when you have just heat embossed, because until everything's cooled down, you could smudge the embossing. It's fine now, but you don't want immediately after you've finished embossing to do that, because it will just smudge, which is not a good look. So, stitched shape framelets, which, as you know, I struggle with saying. So we're using the second smallest, just goes round nicely. Now, most of our framelets, let me bring out the matching oval. So most of our framelets will, let's pop those back over there. When you're trying to work out how big your card needs to be and whether things fit round it, you can basically just go, oh, it fits because it's within the shape, because our framelets cut right on the inside edge. But with the stitched shapes, because we've got the stitching line, they're actually, the cutting line is a little bit further out. So if this was an ordinary oval die, that would be quite tight, because it's right on the stamping is right on the inside edge of the die, but because it's a stitched shape, we've got that little bit of extra wiggle room to allow for that. Then with the oval from the Layering Ovals set, this is the third smallest. Ooh, I haven't numbered them, that's not like me. I think that's the third smallest. I am going to cut just from a scrap of gold foil. I'm just going to cut a mat for that, and I'm going to just do that off camera, but while the camera's running, on my magnetic platform. So my trusty magnetic platform. I do need to sort out my base plate, which is getting disgusting. I'll actually just cut this down to a slightly smaller piece. But I do really need to clean my cutting mat. But, you know, there are moments when life really is too short. So just pop those on with the top plate, and then just run those through. They're only easy, you know, spaces, so there's no running it backwards and forwards to make sure it's cut, or you don't need to use the precision base plate or any of that malarkey. If you use the precision base plate for framelets, basically all you're going to do is blunten your framelets, which means that you're always going to have to use your precision base plate, which is fine, except this is what happens to your base plate, to your cutting plate, if you use your precision base plate. It still works. I keep this just for using with my precision base plate, because it's not flat anymore. And I used to have, oh, I think I've finally thrown it away. I used to have a really bent one, but I think that went to the, oh no, there we are. Here we are. How's that for a really bent plate? So yeah, that's basically unusable now. I just keep it as a sort of memento. It's lovely and domed, but that's about all that can be said for it. So yes, if you are going to use your precision base plate, use it with caution and keep a cutting mat specially for it, because it will get ruined. Right, this is just going to be stuck onto our foil, and I'm just going to use some snail for that because I happen to have it sitting around. So let's pop that down. Then, don't need the stitch shapes in the way anymore. This I am going to stick I could stick this down with snail, but you know me, I like my Tombow. Gives me my wiggle room. So just a scribble and then make sure that your edges are glued. And onto your card base. Just having to check, I've moved my setup over the weekend and I don't think I've got it quite right again. It's never a good thing to move things that are working. Right, that's interesting. I had some dimensionals. Oh, can't see them for looking at them. There they are, sitting right in front of me. Right, so this is going to be stuck on here. I will actually use glue again because I like my glue. I could have used glue for sticking to the foil, but if you smudge, it can be a bit, it can mark, it's not a difficult word, it can mark your foil. So that's that glued on. Then dimensionals on the back of that piece. This is not going to be a standard size letter, let's just accept that. I pretty much accept that the moment I'm putting a bow onto a project, it's likely to need a large letter. This is UK style large letter. I have been known in the past to actually take a hammer to a bow to squish it down so it's flat enough to go through the post as a standard card, but I think that's possibly a little sad. I think that might be one for the confessions table. And possibly not one for airing in public, but I've aired it in public now. So that then goes on to the middle of that. And this is why I wanted the wider mat, because it would have been a bit too much with all the gold otherwise. And then to make our bow, all I do is do 2 loops and then tie the loops in a half knot. And just then adjust, and you get a nice little bow, and you can just play with it until it's kind of the size you want. Bows and videos are always a bit of a challenge. I have yet to find anyone who does YouTube videos and does bows without any problem at all. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't met them yet. Right, and then just trim that down there and up, up there. Now, someone once told me that you should never have your tails shorter than your loops. You maybe want your tails the same length, or at least a rough approximation of them. And I kind of know where they're coming from. I think it does look better if your tails are longer than your loops. So that's then going to go there. So I just need a mini glue dot and a piercing tool. Pop that on the back of my ribbon. And voila! There we go. Let's clear the decks. Little boy, little girl, get your swaddle on. Ooh, that's so off-centre. I will get used to my new setup, honest I will. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of my madness. I am trying to get to 2,000 by the end of October, so that on the 1st of November, my birthday, I can have 2,000 subscribers at least. That'd be lovely. Can't do it without you though. Remember that anyone who buys on my online store between, or has already bought in September or October, for every £25 you spend, you will, and this is for UK only, I'm afraid, you will be entered into a draw for Mary Patton's Hostess set. This can only otherwise be acquired. I was going to say bought, because it can't. It's free. But you can only get it otherwise if you place an order for £250 or more. So as I say, the other way of getting it is to spend with me on my online store. For every £25 you'll get an entry, so £50 too, etc, etc. And that's any time between the 1st of September and the end of October, and I will draw this on my birthday. And we are talking about more than one of these, so yeah, do please get involved in that. That would be lovely. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks a lot for joining me. Bye!